What is up, guys? This is Doug with Basement Level Magic. We're back for another Battle for Zendikar Swiss draft. We open an Eldrazi by the name of Ulamog. So just gonna have a quick look at the rest of the pack, but I'm pretty sure that's what I'm gonna take. Stasis Snare is quite good. The Halimar Tidecaller is quite good, and I would consider that. Probably I would take the Tidecaller or the Stasis Snare as my first pick. Were there not an Ulamog. He is 10 mana and you have to exile 2 things. So he pretty much puts you into ingest strategy from the beginning. Um, so I mean I could pass him and go a different way. Um, but I'm not sure what I would take if I were to do that. Just because none of the other cards here that are first pickable really put you into an archetype. So I'm going to take it because I think, if I play him, great, and if I don't play him, oh well. So here we have a Zada. I wonder what they took. Let's see. So they took an uncommon. Zada seems pretty mediocre in draft. So I don't think I'm going to take him here unless nothing else really is any better. Kite Sail Scout's like not playable. Plummet is a fine sideboard card for like your last pick. Royal's Retribution's pretty good. Ulamog's Reclaimer. Reclaimer seems pretty decent. It's also a pretty huge drop. And then I could also do the Lifespring Druid to try and ramp towards my Ulamog. I feel like Ulamog wants to be in a black-green deck, but I could be wrong about that. So let's go ahead. I'm going to take the Royal's Retribution. I think it's an excellent card. I have not played a lot of white, and I would kind of like to try it. Yeah, Aligned Hedron Network is good against Ulamog. It's not a card I want to take here. I do like Encircling Fissure, and I do like Ondu Rising. And then beyond those two, the Valakut Invoker and Sure Strike I like, and I like the Oran Reef Invokers. But since I have a white card, I actually even like the Dominator Drone. This is a good pack. I think I'm gonna take a white card, and I think the one I'm going for is the Encircling Fissure. Just because it's a 3-drop. I do like Breaker of Armies quite a bit. Bone Splinters is a good card. Miasma, Rising Miasma is a good card. But I've got really no ramp right now. And if I'm going to take a black card, would I rather have a Bone Splinters or a Culling Drone? Thinking that, like, if I really am going, like, I don't know. So the Fortified Rampart has been seeing a lot of play as well. I mean, it's a fine card. It's a fine card to block for you while you build up to a giant Eldrazi, too. What's the best card here? I think the best card here is probably the Rising Miasma. And I think if I'm in white-black, I really want to be in the Life Gain Allies deck, and I have like nothing to facilitate that at this point. I'm going to take the Culling Drone. I'm going to try and drop my curve a bit, and I'm going to see where I end up. I'm not married to white or black at this point. So Call of the Scions would be the ramp card to try and get to the Ulamog. Stone Fury is a pretty decent card. Shadow Glider is also good. Or I could branch into a third color. The Culling Drone is like, I mean, it's a fine 2-drop, but it's basically just a feed ingest for like the Ulamog. So I could go with the Benthic Infiltrator here, or the Shadow Glider. I think I'm gonna go with the Infiltrator. I don't know what I'm doing right now. So far, this deck is kind of a mess. Um, and the only thing I haven't gone into that I said I might was the was green. So here I could take the 2/1 ally or the Cliffside Lookout. I have not been a big fan of Cliffside Lookout. I know a lot of people were playing it early on. I don't know if they still are, but I just don't think it's that impressive to me. I don't think I want to go into blue, or I'm sorry, into red at this point. So what's my best pick here? Mindbreaker's a 3/3 for 4. I'd rather stay a little bit lower to the ground. I think we take the Grave Birthing. And in this pack, to be honest, I'm not in love with really anything. I think I've sort of made some mistakes on the signaling. Because I have 3 white cards, I could take an Inspired Charge. It's not really the deck for the card. I could take a green card. I could take an Altar's Reap. Rush of Ice, I forget the name of the card that taps 2 creatures. I think it's a far better card than Rush of Ice. And then there's the Oracle of Dust. I'm going to take the Oracle. So here we have another Royal's Retribution, which I think is okay. Fortified Rampart or Ghostly Sentinel. I think probably the best card is the Ghostly Sentinel for our deck. If we did decide to dip into green, I mean, Converge is definitely looking like a thing based on what we've picked so far. But to be honest, I think probably our black cards are just hanging out. I don't know that either one is a real pick. Here, the Courier Griffin probably is our pick. I do not like the Kitesail Scout, but the Ondu Greathorn is also not that impressive. I mean, the thing about Landfall that's cool is that you can really play Landfall in any deck, because as long as you're playing lands, you're getting value. So I'll take him for now. So we do have Dominator Drone here, Brilliant Spectrum, Arcana Assassin, or the Lion Hedron Network, and I don't know. I guess, you know, I'm going to take the rare, and that's probably a mistake, but I feel like if I come up against a deck that does what I'm trying to do better than me, at least I'll have an out. Here I'll take the Fortified Rampart. Yeah, well, I'll take the ally. I don't think he gets played, but we'll take it. So I'll resort by converted mana cost and give myself just a little more room to see where we're at. So that's some reward for being in white, but then we also have a white-blue, so I mean, of our rares, which would we rather have? 4/6 Vigilance Lifelink, which seems pretty relevant, or whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may put 3/1/1 counters on target land you control. It becomes an elemental creature. Ah, that's tough. So, other things in this pack, the Nullifier, if it came back to us, I would be happy to have. The Manta, I think, is good. This guy's a 4/4 for 5. How many instant sorceries? I currently have 3 non-creature spells. I think the Felidar Sovereign just gives us more versatility. So here, I know this is a bit of a disjointed deck. So Adverse Conditions is quite good. Vampiric Rites gives us a life gain. which could put us into the white-black allies, although currently we just have white allies. But our blue cards are not really that good. The Benthic Infiltrator's good, but the rest of them are pretty mediocre. So, or the other one, I should say, is pretty mediocre. So, I'm tempted to just take the Vampiric Rites and open us up for that life gain deck if we can make it happen. So Deathless Behemoth certainly seems like he belongs in a black-green deck. Painful Truths is okay. The Skimmer, I think, is an excellent card. Realm Mage's Trick is okay. Dutiful Return is not for us. So it's Painful Truths versus Silent Skimmer. Currently looking at playing white, blue, black. Also could start looking for some fixing. I'm going to take the Skimmer. So now we can take second Skimmer. Rush of Ice. A bunch of green cards. I think green was pretty open, and if I had switched into green, like pick 3, pack 1, I would have been happy with it. So I think the Ally Encampment is probably the pick here for us. And then now an Inspired Charge is starting to look a little better because we have so many creatures. I'm not sure Ulamog gets played in this deck. I just don't see a good way to get him on board. So here we have Voracious Null is in our colors, Grave Birthing is in our colors, and Feeds Processing. And the Deathless Behemoth is just a 6/6 for 6, probably, because I don't have a single Scion creator. So the Waving Elemental may be the best pick here, or the Merc Strider. We do have some early ingest creatures if we play black. I think I'd rather have, I think in this format I generally would rather have a 2-drop over a 3-drop and a 3-drop over a 4-drop. So I think I'm just going to take the Merc Strider. I think the McKindy Patrol here looks pretty tempting. I would love to see the Ghostly Sentinel back. The Cryptic Cruiser is good if you have more of a ability to ingest that I don't think I'm gonna have to. I don't think I'm gonna have. So I'm gonna take the McKindy Patrol. So here's a second rare green-white ally. So if I play the green, I want the Fertile Thicket to fix, and I want the Snapping Gnarlid because it's awesome. In black, I could just take a Demon's Grasp or another McKindy Patrol. I think the Veteran War Leader is just a super strong card. So I'm going to take it, and that's probably a mistake. This has been a mess of a draft, I will say that right now. I've just been all over the place. I haven't drafted in a few days, probably part of it. Is a Swarm Surge something I'm interested in? I don't know. I will probably take the Nullifier. That seems good. We're going to have some cutting to do. So I said I wanted a Fertile Thicket. What I hate about this card is when you have it in your opening hand and you need a mana, it's like pretty good. But when you get it later in the game and you have like 8 mana on board, you just don't care. It's just like, oh man, it sucks my forest comes in tapped. And the Snapping Gnarlid is pretty darn good too. I'm going to take the Fertile Thicket. I think the fixing is important. And then I'm also going to take the Natural Connection. So at this point, I think probably we're out of blue. bring in the green-white. Prioritize low drops and fixing. And then I think maybe Ulamog comes out, the culling drum comes out. I'm fine with, well, I mean it's a 2 for 2. Maybe it does stay in. Take the Oran Reef Invoker. I would love to replace the Andu Great Horn with something else. I don't know that if I'm not playing Ulamog, if I want to even play the, was it the Grave Birthing? So we want some Drana's Emissaries and some Zulaport Cutthroats now. That's an excellent blue card. I think blue was open, I just think it was shallow. But I could be wrong about that. Alright, so we've opened this Green Warden of Marasa and an Evolving Wilds, and I really want the Evolving Wilds. But I think we just take this 6/6 Mythic that lets us bring stuff back from the graveyard. It's any card, so it's pretty good. But yeah, other things I'd think about here, the Unified Front seems quite good in this deck. Swell of Growth lets me play an extra land, that seems pretty good. And then the Evolving Wilds. Any more Evolving Wilds I see, hopefully I'm able to take. Yep, so I think, oh man, it's like such a tough call, because the Bloodbond Vampire is like the exact thing that this deck wants. But I just don't think I'm able to take it here. I think if I'm going to play the third color, I need the fixing. So the Jedi Offshoot actually gives us some life gain ability, and Complete Disregard gives us some sweet removal. And Tajuru Beastmaster, also an ally. Core Entanglers is quite good. I think I might take the Entanglers here. So now it's possible we just dip out of black. The green and white we're getting past seems very good right now. So Stalwart versus Beastmaster. I think I said before, I like to pick the early drops over the late drops. Zulaport Cutthroat, not necessarily excellent in this deck, the way it is right now, but could certainly get better as we go. And if we do, Voracious Knoll works very well with the Zulaport Cutthroat. Could take the Worm, and the Lithomancer's Focus is a pretty good combat trick. Since I'm thinking about dipping out of black anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take the Lithomancer's Focus. I think it's a fine card. Let's look at what this deck looks like without black. So I think, yeah, the Scythe Leopard. Jeez, now we're getting all the enablers for the life gain deck, but I don't think that we have enough reward for it, really. We'll have to see how it all ends up. Sorry about that, my phone's ringing. I think we'll just take the Scythe Leopard here, unless I see the Beastmaster. I guess we'll put the Beastmaster in. Oh, it's a pretty big drop for this point, but I feel like I've changed direction in this draft about 15 times, and I'm not necessarily happy with it. So there's not a card here that I like absolutely in love with, and I don't want to take 2 Tajiru Beastmasters, so I'm going to take the Calastria Healer. That's funny, all the enablers were in the last pack for the white-black, and I wonder if just nobody was in it by the time it happened, or if I just cut off enough black that people didn't want to get into it. Do I play a second Fertile Thicket versus like a Swell of Growth? Well, Fertile Thickets for days. Take the Narcana Assassin. It's possible black's going back in. So if we remove the lands, and we have pretty good fixing, and the black allies could be quite good. And I guess we take the... Oh, I guess we take the Beastmaster. Another Lithomancer's Focus is fine. I don't care about either one of those cards. It's a fine sideboard card. And a cool swamp. Alright. So I'm going to sort by color in the sideboard. I don't know why, since the update for Battle for Zendikar, whenever I sort by color, I have to do it twice. I don't know if that happens to everyone or not, but for me, it's pretty frustrating. Alright, so let's say I'm playing black. What this curve needs is some 2-drops, like Calastria Healer, Zulaport Cutthroat, Culling Drone. So what do I have in here that was white or green that I'm playing just because it was white or green? Probably the core or the Ondu Greathorn. It's not an ally. It does have first strike and it's a landfall creature, which is nice, but 4 mana seems expensive. So do we put in every possible creature card that might gain us life in order to try and turn on the Sovereign? I find it unlikely that we get to 40. I mean, this thing does have lifelink with 6 power, or 6 toughness. It's possible. So what else would we want to put in? The Night Watch is fine. The Silent Skimmer just does its thing. The Empiric Rites, I suppose if you're behind, it's a good sideboard card because you can block and then draw extra cards. I would have loved to have had another Calastria Healer and Zulaport Cutthroat. I don't know, maybe I was wrong to get into blue. I feel like it got cut middle of pack 2 and we didn't see anymore. So I think what I want to do is play 3 color allies. Probably want to cut. Probably could play 17 lands the way the deck is now. If we want to think about maybe, do I want to play 2 natural connections? I mean, it's definitely ramp, but it's ramp at the expense of probably your turn. think probably... it is fixing though. You don't have to cast it if it just because it's in your hand, but it does ramp you. I wish the Ghostly Sentinel was an ally. Sure seems like it should be. I honestly think some of these creatures were allies, or maybe like the vast majority of them are allies, and it just became too powerful, and so they just dropped the ally from them. So if we go against a ramp deck, the Aligned Hedron Network comes in. And then what? We play both Fertile Thickets? So how many allies did we actually end up with? Quite a few, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10? 10 seems significant for a number of allies. Alright, so I think, what do we cut here? The question is, do I cut like 2, play both Fertile Thickets, and play Ulamog? I mean, if Ulamog gets played and like actually gets resolved, he just wins the game. I think that's enough for me to decide to play him. So what do I take out? Probably something that isn't an ally. I guess the Culling Drone? Oh shoot, you know what? So I have to... Oh no, I read him wrong. I don't have to ingest. He just exiles 2 permanents that I choose. Okay. So yeah, I want to take out the Culling Drone. I want to take out... Silent Skimmer is just a great blocker, and if I need to attack, it can. Probably the Griffin. I mean, I like the flying, but we can always add it back if we need it. Do we take out the Sentinel? It's not an ally. Yeah, that card just gets you 2 back from the graveyard. That seems pretty good. If there's anything in your graveyard. So what if we just cut... What if we do cut anything that's not an ally? Just absolutely everything. Cut the Invoker. Reduces my reliance on early green. Play the Nirkana Assassin. Play the Vampiric Rites. That's a pretty good looking 3-color ally deck, I think. I've got a minor life gain strategy going. I've got a ton of allies. I've got fixing for casting allies. I got an Evolving Wilds. Play both Fertile Thickets. Seven, 3, 4. Boy, that doesn't seem like enough. So I got 2. I was just thinking it does not seem like enough forests. But I guess I already have 2 in there, a third card that can be used for any color ally spell, and Evolving Wilds to go get something I might be missing. And I do have a lot of double white. So I think that looks okay. I'm going to submit that. I will see you guys back here in round 1. Thanks for watching.